So this quick video, we're going to show how we can get a quick fix on how we can get our first-person controller standard asset in Unity to do a simple crouch. It's going to just be a really easy line of code. So why don't we just go ahead and look at what kind of scene we have going on right now. I just have 2 cubes so we can get a reference of whenever we go down to crouch or not, some visual reference to gauge against. And I have my standard asset first-person controller. As you can see, I have it positioned really nicely on the 0 axis, so it's flush against the ground. All we're going to do is we're going to go to our scripts, and we're going to create a new C# script. I'm just going to call this crouch. I'm not going to really build it into the already prescribed first-person controller class that Unity has built up. I'm just going to make it my own thing right now. Let's remove this old one. So we have my new crouch script attached to my game object up here. I'm going to double click on my script now, and we got some really easy lines of code to do. Alright, let me just tidy up this code real quick so it's more manageable. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to call a character controller variable called character collider. All we're going to do is adjust the height of our character collider on our first person controller here. This little capsule right here, if we can control the height of it, not only will all the camera drop down with it, but we'll also get collision working with our crouch as well. So that one little task right there will get our crouch going pretty good. So now that we've declared our character collider variable, we need to be able to get at our character controller class on our game object. So in start, why don't we go ahead and initialize that variable? Let's say character collider equals game object dot get component. We're trying to get to our components over here in our inspector, and then we're going to say what component do we want to get at. We're going to use our brackets or our greater than and less than sign, and close it off with a parentheses like so. We'll hit Control S. Now we have access to our character controller class over here on our inspector. So now we can change our height on our capsule collider. We can get at that parameter now. So all we're going to say is if, let's say, input dot get key, and then I'm going to do key code, not key. There's many ways you can prescribe which key you want to do. I'm just using key code because it popped off the top of my head. And then set up my brackets. And then what we're going to say is if we press the C key and character collider dot height equals 1.0 F. Alright, how did I get that 1.0 F? Well, I went over to my first person controller, and by default, the height on my capsule collider here is 1.8. But if I change that to 1, and then move it down just to get an idea of what that would look like, then we get a pretty small little sphere here instead of a capsule, and that gives us the crouching clearance that we want for this. So after we just say that, yeah, when I press C, I want my height to be 1.0 F, then we got to do an else statement saying if I'm not pressing C, I'm going to get rid of that formatting by pressing Control Z. If I'm not pressing Z, then I want to go back to my normal height of 1.8 F for float. And that's really all there is to this code. And we can see it in action. I'm just tidying up my spacing. All right, let's see what's going on. All right. So you can see my scene view and my game view going on here. If I press C, you can see that my camera follows me. I can move around while crouching still. And I get the clearance that I need for my crouch. All right, so that'll pretty much do it. It may not be the smoothest thing, we're still getting a little bit of. It's almost like when we do our height, gravity takes over and pushes our character down. But for a few lines of code, we got basic functionality working. You can always expand more on it later. So as we press C, we crouch. All right, that does it for crouching.